Hello, Em. This is Karina. Are you really over at my parents' house right now, living with them? From what I've heard, it sounds like you're living there with both my mom and dad and my little brother. Long time no see, Karina. A lot actually happened that led to us having to live with them. I told you so many times now not to go living with them, yet you still did it anyway? I told you to say no to my parents no matter how many times they both asked. My dad was going off about how it has to be the oldest son that lives with them and that you were being too audacious, right? Yet even still, you made sure to say no to him, right? That time was very tough for both your brother and I, considering how intensely they kept talking to us. They had me in that room for close to 2 hours and went on and on about how I needed to act as a wife. Just like that, both my parents went into in-law mode on you. Did that eventually get to you and cause you to finally give in to their requests? How lucky. I am finally able to relax now and get the divorce I'd always been wanting. What? Divorce? Karina, are you going to get a divorce now? When we last saw you at our wedding, you and your husband seemed so close to one another. And there's been a lot going on with myself as well recently. In my house, there are 3 children running around, right? And I have been a housewife this whole time, so even though I wanted to get a divorce, I could never do anything. I wanted someone to be there for me to take my kids if I were to get divorced from my husband. What? Are you hinting at me right now? No matter how you try and think about it, you're the only person I can rely on for something like that, right? There was no way I could leave my 3 kids in the hands of my aging parents after moving back in with them. And also, I didn't want to come home to them always preaching to me about how I need to do a better job raising my kids. But if there's now a younger woman in the house, I can just have her take care of the kids without a problem at all. In other words, I'll be like a slave? Living back at home with my parents means that I won't have to pay for rent or anything else. And if I get to have a slave of my own to boss around, then I can make living as a single mother happen. Now, I'm going to get divorced from my husband as soon as possible. Hold it right there, Karina. Bringing something like that up right now is not all right. I have never cared for any children before, and calling me your slave? I have to start working on this divorce, so don't keep me waiting. This is the reason why having the oldest son and his wife back in my parents' house is the best time for me. Hold on. When it comes to the wife, your one and only job is to serve him and the rest of his family, right? And that includes your husband's older sister. Now, I have a divorce to make, and right after that, I'll be coming back home to all of you. Get everything ready for my return, please and thank you. What are we going to do, Seth? I'm about to be screwed over by your older sister when she gets back here.
What? What are you going on about right now, Em? Did my parents go to you again saying a bunch of bullcrap?
This time it wasn't your parents, but Karina who came to me speaking loads of nonsense. She told me that with me living in your parents' house now, she can relax and get a divorce.
Huh? Get a divorce?
Karina told me that she wants to divorce her husband. She's been wanting to do it for a while, actually, but she has her 3 kids, which have been holding her back from making the choice. But now that I'm home with your parents and you, she thinks she doesn't have to worry anymore and can come back here to us. And she told me that I'll have to be the one to take care of her 3 kids once they're all moved in. She told me I'm going to be like her slave from now on.
Hey, hold on for a second. This is all coming at me too fast. I don't fully get what's going on here. To start, does my sister really want to get divorced now? What kind of merit is there in divorcing such a loving and kind husband as the one she has?
I'm not sure what's all been going on at their house, but she told me she's been thinking about divorcing him for a while now. And that's what she's finally going to do now.
Yes. And her reason for making that choice is because you're not living here with my parents in their house? That's... What the hell does she think she's thinking, wanting to come back here and use my wife like that?
For some reason, she may think that I've been reformed now or something.
Huh?
Well, before we never once talked about moving in with your parents before our wedding, right? Yet recently we moved in with your parents, even though we turned them down so many times before. She thinks that I might finally understand what it means to be your wife or something, and that's led her to believe that she can do whatever she wants with me.
Huh? You have to be kidding me. We're not with my parents right now because we want to be here.
Your parents were just being so rude about it all the time that we just gave in and moved into their house, right? Actually, I kind of respect the both of them for being so dang persistent. I thought to myself sometimes that if they could be turned down that many times yet still ask us over and over again, they deserve to hear a yes for once.
Sure. What are you talking about, Em? We didn't give in to any of this. We just did this to get those two to shut the hell up. I am thankful that they both paid for part of our wedding and everything. But that was just a trap, it seems. And they told me if we leave this house now, we have to pay all that back to them.
And they said we had to pay it all back to them in one lump sum if we wanted to leave. I really thought that when your parents shut up for a bit there, they gave up on the prospect of forcing us to move in with them. But they started coming at us even harder before we chose to come here.
We had no other choice, or else I'll be deaf in both my ears right now. And if my older sister's moving in with us, with her 3 kids in tow, I'm out. Like seriously, I'm out of this house and the family. I can't deal with all that. Having to stay at home for work already?
How old were they again? 4, 2, 3 months or something like that? No way the inside of the house would ever be quiet again for you. And for me to have to become their babysitter without any experience taking care of kids at all?
Hey, Em? You want to just get the hell out of my parents' house?
What? But we don't have the money to pay your parents back in one lump payment, right? Your parents paid around $30,000 for our wedding, and since we just had to get that new car, we don't have anywhere close to that right now. We have at least another $10,000 we need to save up, right? And considering we have to pay them back in one go.
And here's the thing. I have that extra $10,000 we've been needing to pay them back with. I hit a small jackpot through the lottery and got $10,000.
What?
This will destroy all the savings we have. But I'd rather start from square one again than have to live with both my parents as well as my older sister and her 3 kids. Don't you feel the same way about that?
What are we going to do, Seth? I had a $10,000 jackpot on the lottery numbers I bought as well. To think we'd be fortunate enough to hit a $10,000 jackpot at the same time? You and I must be a really lucky couple. Now we have more than enough to get the hell out of your parents' house. Enough to even pay for a moving truck and all.
Once we have a date and a place picked out, let's go. We have to do this in a way that neither of my parents will be able to notice. And we need to get out of here before my sister moves in.
Please do your very best for me starting today, Em. I was able to get that divorce taken care of in a day, and now I'm home. What? You already took care of the divorce and are home now? I really wanted to come back to my parents' place as soon as possible, so I got myself a lawyer who could handle everything for me within a couple of hours. I'll be getting tons of money from my ex and child support as well. And now that I have myself a babysitter right inside my own home that I can abuse, I am set. Starting today, I'm going to just lay around and relax all I want without any complaints from anyone. Karina, you don't plan on getting a job or anything? I kind of thought you'd be leaving your 3 kids with me so that you could go out and work a bit. I'm a housewife, so I shouldn't have to do anything called working a job. And in this country, being a single mother means that I'm able to get my hands on all kinds of money. I also have the child support for 3 kids coming in, as well as not having to pay any rent to live here. So there's no reason at all for me to be getting a job right now. What? What about the cost of sending your kids to school soon? Well, if that's going to be a problem, there's always the inheritance from my parents, right? Everyone in my family is known for living very short lives. So by the time my first kid is ready for school, my mom and dad should both be out the door. That is a really poor outlook you have on things. Ah, I love being back home. I've also been able to free myself from my ex's really annoying talk about how I need to do better when raising the kids and doing the chores. So with that, in order to let me enjoy this heaven, you need to do everything I say. Please and thank you. I need you here to take care of all 3 of my kids right now, as well as get me some ice cream. Right now, I'm feeling like eating at least 5 things of Baagen-Dazs right now. So you really are using me like a slave. Is that really the way you want to think about me? Well, considering you are my brother's wife and new to the family, you are our slave, right? Today starts your time as such, so be ready to do everything we all say.
Her and I have already moved out of there.
What?
Didn't think you'd only take a week to get a divorce and move back into mom and dad's. Thank God we made the right choice of getting out of that house this morning. The fact that we both hit those jackpots and now this? We are some lucky people.
Her and I? Is this you, Seth?
Right. I wasn't going to let you treat my wife like that anymore, now that I had a great glimpse of that the way you like to harass her. I took the phone from her, and will be texting with you now instead. She also has a lot of work to do yet, as we are still unboxing everything here.
What do you mean by having moved out? You both are still living at her mom and dad's house, right? And that means Em has finally learned her place as the wife of the oldest son, right? So what the hell are you talking about when you say you moved out?
You really thought that either of us ever wanted to move in with mom and dad? No way did Em or I want that to happen. But the both of us continued to be harassed by those awful parents of ours. And we ended up moving in as a last resort to get them to shut the hell up.
What? What do you mean they were harassing the both of you?
At first, Em and I were lied to. They said that if we moved in with them, they would pay for part of the wedding costs we still had left over. But when everything was paid off and we thought we could finally relax, both mom and dad changed instantly. They told the both of us that they were just lending us the money for part of the wedding. And that we had to pay them back in one lump payment, or else we could never leave. But of course that wasn't going to happen. So we had to stay with the both of them up until this morning.
That's what happened there? So neither you or Em learned your lessons about being the oldest son and the wife of the oldest son?
What the hell are you talking about? I hate families that think they can always tell their oldest son to do whatever they want. All because they were the oldest. I was always told that because I was the oldest, rather their only son, I had to go to college close to home. And that when I got married, I would have to move my wife into the house of mom and dad. And that I have to be the one to take care of those two when they got too old to do anything themselves. I'm sick and tired of those two's BS.
Sick and tired of it, but you are their oldest son.
The only reason you agree with that is because you are too much of a lazy bitch to do anything yourself. You're always making me do everything for you. All because mom and dad would always say that I had to as their son. You made me work like your slave when we were younger. You always said that it was the brother's job to take care of their older sister. None of that even matters, considering you're the older sibling and should have been taking care of me. Yet instead you just sat around using mom and dad's influence to make up rules all the damn time.
I may have been doing that.
I'm done with all that. I just paid both mom and dad back all the money they lent to us. Which means we no longer have to live with them anymore.
Then from now on, what are we going to do? The plan was to... I thought that Em would still be around, so I chose to come back home. Who's going to take care of the kids for me?
How about their freaking mother does that for them? Not what? That's your responsibility as a mother, isn't it? You're not going to slack off and make someone else do your job.
But I had a plan for all of this. I would be getting all that child support from my ex and could relax and enjoy life at mom and dad's house. And by having Em take care of my kids, I could get off easy doing nothing at all.
Then give your kids back to your ex. He already came to me about what happened in the divorce, and about how you forced all the kids to go with you. I was just on the phone.
What?
The phone with your ex a second ago. He said that right after coming home from his business trip, both you and the kids were nowhere to be found. All there was a divorce form saying that the matter had been dealt with already. Yet he had no clue what that was about.
You're kidding me. He's already back from that trip? He told me he planned to be gone for more than a week on that trip.
He was worried about how the kids were faring and came home to check on them. He told me that he really never took good care of them and would just sit around the house all day taking naps.
What?
I heard about everything from your ex, Karina. You were so selfish that you forced your husband to do everything and it was wearing him out. And it sounds like your reason for the divorce was very self-centered as well, wasn't it? You both got married under the pretext that you'd both be working. Yet after the wedding, you went and quit your job and became a housewife. And what did you say after your husband found out about that? You said you'd be going back out and working after you had your kids. Well, you had 3 of them and still have not gone back to work. Actually, you made sure to keep getting pregnant so that you could use it as an excuse not to work. And now you're getting a divorce over him asking you to do more than just sit around? Your reasoning for it is that you can get child support from him every month and use that to relax all day long?
You're joking, right? That jackass told you all of that, too?
Tell me, what do you actually think of your husband and kids? I think having him come take those 3 away from you right now would be the best thing for them. You need to be the one paying that child support instead of him.
Hold on a second. Something like child support isn't what the mother should be paying.
Are you brain dead?
Something like child support is only paid by the father to the mother, right? Even if I don't take the kids, he should still be paying me for those things, right?
Jesus Christ, you really are brain dead, aren't you? I'm a bit shocked to learn that my older sister is actually disabled that way. I'll go tell your ex this, so he can bring it to the court's attention right away. You're too unwell to be taking care of any kids at all.
What?
I'll let him know you're back at Mom and Dad's house now. That way he can make his way over to get the 3 kids from you. Now, I have to go back to helping Em with the boxes. Please take care of Mom and Dad for me.
Please, Em, help me, please. Not only are we in-laws, but we're sisters as well, right? And you should be coming to help your older sister when she's in trouble. What's happened to you, Karina? Is there something troubling you over there at your mom and dad's place? Everything is troubling me right now. My ex-husband is taking all 3 of my kids away from me. And to make matters worse, he's asking for me to pay child support now. That's kind of how that sort of stuff works. If he's going to be taking care of all 3 by himself, then you're legally required to pay child support to him. Even if you guys are divorced now, you still have a responsibility to your kids, and paying child support is that responsibility. I am not screwing around right now. With all 3 of them in mind, I'm having to pay my ex $1,500 a month. You're only paying him $500 per kid? That's actually a really low price he asked for, so you should be able to pay that off, no problem. That's not all, though. He told me when it comes to things like their birthday and Christmas presents, I'd have to be responsible for those too. Well, that's what most divorced parents agree on. As their mother, you should be more than happy to get your children presents on their birthdays and on Christmas, right? Right? Even if I wanted to, that kind of money is impossible for me. I have been a housewife this whole time, having to go from not paying a dime to paying $1,500 a month, and also having to buy their presents 4 times a year. That is way too much for me to have to deal with. Well, you were the one that decided to have 3 kids, right? Sitting there complaining about it all now isn't going to magically make money appear out of thin air either. You need to go out and find yourself a job right now. At least you no longer have to care for your kids, so you have the time to go searching for work. But I don't have the time to search for a job. Both of my parents were just admitted into the hospital. Having to go back and forth is already taking up most of my day now. Both of them are in the hospital right now? What the hell happened to the both of them? Did they both come down with some kind of a serious illness? Well, they're not sick with anything. Rather, they both got hurt at the same time. When I got the news about the amount I'd have to pay every month in child support to my ex, I freaked out and started to drink my worries away. And when I was close to blacking out, I went on a rampage inside the house. And, because of that, I was so upset that in my rampage, I charged my parents who were on the stairs and pushed them down. Huh? My mom ended up breaking both her wrists and can no longer use her hands. My dad ended up worse, though, landing under my mom and breaking his hip and smacking his head so hard that he has a TBI now. So you really went and did it this time, sending both of your parents to the hospital like that? Don't you dare say it like that. I don't remember any of it because I was so drunk then. Now, as you can see, I have a lot of problems at the moment. So do you mind helping me out a little? I would like you to start helping me pay for all 3 of my kids' child support. No way. What? You really expected me to say sure? Sorry that you dug your hole that deep, but I'm not going down there to help you get out. Did I sound like I was joking? After how kindly your older sister just asked you for help, why the hell aren't you saying yes? If you want to talk about why all of this started happening in the first place, you're to blame. This happened because you moved out of my parents' house without ever saying a word to me. How about you stop trying to push all that blame onto us, please? Fine. I won't ask you to pay child support, but at least give me some money to keep myself alive. When my parents have been in the hospital, I had to look at all their savings. There's a lot less in there than I thought. If you don't start supporting me, my future isn't going to be good for me. Then, like I was saying, it's time for you to go and get a job. Any job, right now. You're a dick, Em. Even though we're family, even though you're my brother's wife, you're going to abandon your older sister? Both my mom and dad want you to come and see them in the hospital. They said that because Seth is their son, he needs to come and take care of them.
Sorry, but both Em and I are banning all 3 of you. And I mean that quite literally. How about you try shutting that pie hole of yours for a change and face reality? We aren't your parents, and do not care about taking care of you.
Hold on, Seth? What the hell do you mean you're abandoning all of us?
I'm saying we're cutting ties to you guys. The fact that you're now blaming my wife for everything is enough. I really hate that my sisters and my older sister think they can just use us like we're slaves, and never say a single thanks for it.
Cutting ties to us? No way. What the hell do you think you're doing as the oldest son of this family? Do you have any idea what'll happen to us if you all cut ties?
I don't care, to be completely honest with you. It's not like you guys ever cared about any of my problems. That kind of family love is going to go both ways here. You really care so much about...
What?
So much about mom and dad and the house? How about you start to care for all of it? I'm leaving it all to you, actually. Why can't you? I got married
What are you saying? I can't do any of that.
not too long ago and have a new family now. I also have a wife to protect. What about you? You don't have a family you're caring for currently, or a house. Your ex-husband is taking care of your kids, right? Then how about you start to use that time you have to care for both mom and dad and their house? Man, you going and divorcing your husband like that for mom and dad really helped me a ton. Now, I'll finally be able to say goodbye to you 3 without having to worry.
No, wait. Please don't say something so cruel as wanting to cut ties to us. You are the oldest son of this family, Seth. I want to make you take care of this house, mom and dad, and all of my problems for me.
Peace, Karina. And make sure to tell mom and dad this. We're not going to see you because we don't like to be around liars and scammers. With that, they're all in your hands now. Make sure you start to pay your ex that child support for your 3 kids' sake.
When both of Seth's parents heard the word about how we'd be cutting ties to them and Karina, they both started to throw fits. But since they're both having to stay in the hospital for a while, nothing they have to say about us matters at all. With that, I had a word with Seth, and I changed my job in order to find a place closer to our new home so that we weren't having to go anywhere close to their house anymore. As for what happened with Karina after we cut ties completely, she ran back to her ex, pleading for him to take her back and remarry her, even getting on her hands and knees to beg. But his response to that was, in order to show that she really wanted to be a part of the family again, she'd first have to go a few months paying child support to him, and then he'd think about it. So right now, while having to go back and forth from the hospital to see and care for her parents, Karina is working 2 part-time jobs, making money in order to pay child support. Thank you for watching and listening. We hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe. Also, feel free to leave a comment about what you thought of the story. We look forward to seeing you at the next story.